Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Disability Advocacy Day. Thank you to the over 100 disability advocates, self-advocates, and caregivers from across our state for joining us. I am Molly Hoatling. I am speaking today on behalf of the Governor's Office on Disability and Dr. Graham Sisson, Executive Director. The Governor's Office on Disability's mission is to facilitate the inclusion of Alabamians with disabilities in education, employment, housing, transportation, healthcare, and leisure. We serve as a statewide clearinghouse for information and disability resources in Alabama. The Governor's Office on Disability aims to maximize disability resources by identifying existing ones and fostering collaboration among public and private entities that serve people with disabilities. Thank you. Very windy day. We actively seek to engage communication between individuals with disabilities and entities to provide services to them. Lastly, we function as a liaison to the Governor's Office by monitoring Alabama's disability-related legislation and policies and providing policy analysis to the Governor. Again, thank you for joining us today as we advocate for the rights of Alabamians with disabilities. I now have the pleasure of welcoming David Rissling, who will be performing the national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave. Roll Tide.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Corey Merchant, and I also want to welcome you here this morning. Thank you so much for taking time to be here. I know many of you came from Huntsville, Mobile, all areas of the state, so we appreciate your efforts in being here this morning. Now I'd like to turn it over to two of our House representatives, David Faulkner and Cynthia Almond.
Good morning, everybody. My name's David Faulkner. I represent an area in the Birmingham area. And thank you, Catherine and Corey, for organizing this and all that you do with the Disability Advocacy Committee. It makes a big difference. It really helps us as lawmakers to hear from you and for you to be here. It helps us understand and how we file bills and what is needed out there. And so we really appreciate it. Y'all make us better legislators by being who you are and reaching out to us. And we really appreciate it. Yesterday, Representative Almond and I, we filed a bill with some other of our colleagues that will change the symbol for mobility, the handicap symbol for mobility, so that it will be a in movement symbol. and that the language will be not disabled persons, but persons with disabilities. Again, I'm going to turn it over to my colleague, Representative Cynthia Allman, but thank you all for being here today. And she is going to present a resolution for this year's recipient of the Jeff Ridgway Advocacy Award. Cynthia?
All right, good morning, everybody. It's my honor to be here and to read this resolution commending Daniel Chaplin for being honored with the Jeff Ridgway Advocacy Award. Come on up here. I want you to stand right next to me while I read this, okay? All right. Whereas highest commendations and congratulations are proudly presented to Daniel Chaplin of Homewood, Alabama, for being named the 2023 Jeff Ridgway Advocacy Award winner. And whereas the Jeff Ridgway Advocacy Award recognizes individuals with disabilities who have displayed exceptional leadership in self-advocacy and who have declared a strong vision for the self-advocacy movement in Alabama. And whereas Daniel Chaplin serves as a dynamic example to us all of what incredible things can be accomplished when we self-advocate and use the power of our voice. He actively participates in policy advocacy efforts in Alabama and Washington, D.C. As a board member for the National Down Syndrome Congress, he often co-hosts advocacy training events. And whereas Daniel Chaplin has completed 45 half marathons, I've done one, but with a goal of completing a half marathon in every state. He believes there should be a 3-2-1 runner, a runner with Down syndrome at every major marathon. He has joined the 50 States Half Marathon Club and hopes to become the first person with Down syndrome to accomplish this goal, thereby showing that individuals with Down syndrome are more alike than different. And whereas on March 6, 2024, today, Daniel Chaplin will be honored as the recipient of the Jeff Ridgway Advocacy Award at the State House entrance at 11 South Union Street as part of Disability Advocacy Day. Now, therefore, we're coming to the end. Be it resolved by the House of Representatives of the Legislature of Alabama that Daniel Chaplin is honored and commended for being named the 2023 Jeff Ridgway Advocacy Award winner. This resolution is offered to him in deep admiration and appreciation for his commitment and contributions to the Down syndrome community, along with sincere best wishes for all future endeavors. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations. It's quite an honor. You want to say anything?
Thank you, everybody. This is such an honor. I really appreciate it.
Congratulations.
And now we will hear from Nancy Anderson of ADAP, who will be presenting the actual awards. And we're lucky today that we actually have some previous award winners here with us doing what they do, which is self-advocacy here at the State House. So we would like them, let's say they're going to come up and stand behind Dan. Come on, Daniel. Let me see who we got. Let's see. Where? Yeah, come on up. And Mary.
Hey, good morning, everyone. I'm going to provide a little bit of context to the Jeff Ridgway Advocacy Award, but I'm going to start off with this truth that we at ADAP know, and that truth is that the best advocate is a self-advocate. Everybody needs to repeat that after me now. The best advocate is a self-advocate. It is that truth upon which the Jeff Ridgeway Advocacy Award was built. Now, some of you might remember Jeff. He passed away in 2015. He was a fierce advocate. Like many of you did today, he would climb aboard a bus at the wee hours of the morning in his home in Mobile and travel up here to share his vision of what Alabama should be like for people with disabilities. Foremost on Jeff's mind was something that we are still talking about today, and that is employment. Employment, competitive, integrated employment for all people with disabilities. A person with a disability, Jeff said, will give you an honest day's work for an honest dollar. Everybody needs a shot. So the Jeff Ridgeway Advocacy Award recognizes people who have a demonstrated record of self-advocacy leadership and someone who has a vision for the future of the self-advocacy movement in Alabama. And I am very happy to be surrounded by folks today who have won the award in the past, and our new winner, wherever he went, there he is, David. Okay, Daniel. Daniel. His dad's name is David, so I have a little bit of a Freudian slip at times, and he apparently has that happen often to him because he said that to me a minute ago. So we've already been introduced to our current winner. I'm going to backtrack a little bit and go back to 2021. 2021, the height of the pandemic. We awarded the award to two individuals, but we never actually had a public proclamation of their award because of the pandemic. So I am going to do that today and try to make up for lost time. One of the winners sadly can't be with us today, Dr. Eric Peebles. Many of you know him. He is the past president of the Disability Leadership Coalition of Alabama, very heavily involved in housing, accessible housing, long-term care. We commend him for his advocacy. We wish he could be here with us today. But the 2021 winner who is with us today is Beth Olive. When she was nominated, Beth served on the board of Down Syndrome Alabama and was on the Self Advocates Board for DSA. She has a history of advocating on the Hill in DC, not here. Well, maybe here too, both in person and virtually. And the person who nominated her said that Beth was dedicated to advocacy for all people with disabilities so that everyone can benefit from that advocacy. So I'm very happy to give you your long overdue award, and come on close. Make sure I have the right one. Beth Olive, 2021 winner of the Jeff Ridgeway Advocacy Award. And to Daniel Chaplin, who, when he was nominated, was described by his nominator, is that a word, nominator? I think so, as living a life of advocacy, and that his advocacy is contagious. He wants to make others advocate alongside of him. You are surrounded today, Daniel, by probably what, 100 people who want to advocate alongside you. So thank you to both of you for the work that you do, and thank you to all of our past recipients. The next Jeff Ridgeway Award nomination process will be coming out probably in the middle of summer. So think of who you want to nominate and let us at ADAP know. Thank you so much.
We're really fortunate at this event to have several legislators and senators who are willing to come out and speak to us on behalf of certain bills. This morning, we have Senator Coleman Madison from the Jefferson County, Alabama, who has sponsored SB 91, the public transportation funding bill. And now we'll give her a few minutes to talk to us about that bill. Thank you for being here.
Good morning. Thank you all for being here. You know, this is about Advocacy Day. And I can tell you out of all the emails and text messages that I get, nothing means more than your presence when you come down here, walk the halls, and let them see who you are. SB 91 is a bill that I'm sponsoring. We have tried for years to get additional funding for public transportation. It increases the amount that a person pays for a tag, and it just adds $5 to go for public transportation. And statewide, all the public transit agencies have come together to form a consortium to work together. It's going to have to be that way because we know that public transit is like an infrastructure. It takes you from point A to point B. You don't need gaps in between. And so it means that it takes all of us working together. Disabilities and disabilities rights is something that's very close and dear to me. For those of you in Jefferson County and maybe throughout the state, I retired from the city of Birmingham as the ADA compliance administrator. And I was the first in the city of Birmingham to have that position. And it was all about disabilities rights. My profession, I'm a special education teacher. I worked 7 years for public transportation in the city of Birmingham. And one of my jobs was working with our disabilities committee, our paratransit. So I understand how things connect, and I understand from a personal standpoint how this impacts the quality of lives of those persons who are disabled. You contribute so much to our economy. You have so many talents that you can give, but access to transportation and getting where you need to go and be treated equally like everybody else with equity and dignity is something that is very important. Thank you. So I appreciate all the calls. I have seen the emails and texts that you all have been sending to other legislators. This is very important that they understand this. $5 adding to your tag is not a whole lot of money, but collectively that money on an ongoing basis can help us statewide to provide a quality transportation. Alabama is the only state that doesn't give any money to public transportation that involves so many people. So with your help and working together, as I said, we can do more working together. And we want to understand, and we need for my colleagues to understand when it comes down to things like this, that we should have nothing decided, nothing about you without you. So your presence here means a whole lot. Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for being here and speaking on behalf of SB 91. For those of you, we do have some one-page flyers. I see them in the hands of many people, but if you don't have one, feel free to let us know and we will give you one. On the top of the SB 91 one-pager, it does list the sponsoring policymakers, but it also lists those policymakers that will be on the committee to hear it first. So please take an opportunity if one of those representatives is from your district to speak on behalf of SB 91. Next up, we are going to hear from Brooke Thomas on the Newborn Screening Act with the group Alabama Rare.
Hi, everyone. First, before I begin, I want to thank you all for being here today, not as an advocate and not as a program coordinator, but as a mom and a friend. And if you know me, if you've ever heard me speak before, then you know that I will immediately start crying. Mr. Powell is already over here laughing at me. So we're here today to support the Zachary Thomas newborn screening bill, named after my son Zachary, but also in honor of my other two children, Luke and Amelia. Newborn screening is enacted by each state of their own facilities in their own accord. However, the federal government does issue guidelines. As of right now, after a disease is added to the federal recommendation, it is taking our state upwards of 5 to 8 years to add a disease. And what's happening, especially in our most rural counties, is diagnosis are gone, or diagnosis are missed. When we talk about newborn screening, I'll back up. You all know a heel stick card often referred to as a PKU test. That's what we're talking about. So the federal government issues guidelines, and then it's up to the states to enact their own programs. And it's taking too long. I've already said, now I've got to gather my thoughts. So our bill provides a timeline for diseases to be added to the state panel. 3 years, which is more than adequate. I've said it in this building often. 3 years is more than adequate for us to be adding these diseases to our state screening. And then it also requires an update each year on if the department has not added a disease. This bill requires them to let us know we have not added a disease and why it's not added. It is added. We are so lucky, thanks to our wonderful friends in the House. It passed in February unanimously through the House. There was no opposition. So now we are waiting on the bill to be heard in the Senate Health Committee. So today I'm here to ask each of you to find your senator. The bill will be led through the Senate by Senator Dan Roberts, so you can mention his name. And then after it moves, hopefully out of the Senate Health Committee, it'll go for a vote on the Senate floor. Zachary wanted to say something also.
Thank you for being here. Have a God bless day.
If you have any questions, because I did a terrible job explaining it right now, I got up here and got distracted by all of your smiling faces. Please find me, and I'm more than happy to go into depth more and explain exactly what we're doing, why newborn screening is important. I do want to mention, because I forgot, this is the easiest way for us to provide health equity in our state that has more than 20 counties without a pediatrician. This is how we make healthcare equitable for everyone. Thank you.
You did wonderful.
Thank you.
As Nancy Anderson reminded us, the best advocate is a self-advocate. So now we'll hear from several of our self-advocates. First up is the 2023 Jeff Ridgway Award winner, Daniel Chaplin.
Welcome. I look around and see so many people. It's great how many of us have come to Montgomery to advocate together for people with differing abilities. Let's give ourselves a big hand. I want to talk to you this morning about employment and how you and I having jobs not only helps us, but it also helps our families and communities. Like most of you, I had my first jobs at home, doing things my family needed and expected me to do, like feeding the dog and taking out the trash. And then I started school, and for many years, school also became my job. School was mostly fun, but it was also a lot of work. I was the youngest child in my family, and so I was the last one to finish school. When I graduated, I found out that work didn't end with graduation. My parents and brother and sister were working, and I was becoming an adult, so I needed to work too. I needed a job out in the world. My parents explained to me that there's a lot of work that needs to be done in every community, and we all need to pitch in to get it done. So I got a job as a mailman and clerical assistant at the Wiggins Childs law firm. At first, some things about working a regular job were hard, but the things I learned at home and school about being on time, being reliable, working hard, and having a good attitude still mattered. And soon I loved my job. Now I have been there 14 years. I have a good friends at work. I like getting up and going to work. And I know every day that I do things that need to be done, things that someone else would have to do if I wasn't there. This makes me feel good. I also like getting paid. One of the great things about working is that you have money to spend on things you choose. Like all adults, I have to use some of my money on necessities like food and health care and my phone, but some of it I can use on whatever I like. Not everything about my job is fun and exciting. For example, I don't like to drink coffee, but one of my jobs at work is to load the dishwasher, which includes lots of coffee cups, but I don't mind. At home, I don't love taking out the garbage or changing the sheets either, but those jobs have to be done too. I hope if you already have a job that you remember that the work you do is important, that if you didn't do it, someone else would need to. And another important thing you do when you work is pay taxes. Every time you get paid, your taxes help pay for things that make our communities better, like school and roads and parks. When we advocate with our legislatures for funding for services that help people with differing abilities, remind them that we are taxpayers too, and we help pay for the services that we need. If you don't have a job yet, I hope you will begin to look for one, and your family and friends will help you. You can contribute. There is work that needs to be done. And all of us, whatever our abilities, can pitch in and help. Thank you.
Next up, we have self-advocate Eric Brown.
Hello, everyone. I'm Eric Brown, a self-advocate. Today, I will be addressing the issue of transportation for individuals with disability in Alabama. The lack of adequate public transportation serves as a significant barrier of Alabama with disability, hindering their ability to enter the workforce and fully participate in community life. Furthermore, I am feeling dependent because I want to take transportation and employment for my future, our future. For instance, individuals with disability in Alabama require transportation to secure job opportunity and access housing for independent living. The absent accessible public transit in Shelby County further exacerbate the challenge of community to work and home. Let us advocate for ourselves, make our voice heard, and recognize that transportation is essential for achieving independence and experiencing the world and a new life.
Next up, we have Mary White, a former Jeff Ridgway Award winner.
Hey, good morning, y'all. My name's Mary White, and I'm just gonna talk about a little about my life story and just what I do. So I'm an advocate for people with disabilities, and I was since I was 14 years old. And so I had a really tough life. I had 44 brain surgeries. I know, wow. But you know, you just deal with it. And so just basically I stand up for other people who can't talk up for their rights, and I advocate for themselves. And So in high school, so I graduated in 2023 of college. And I never knew I would ever go to college having a disability. So many people told me I couldn't go to college, you couldn't do this, whatever. But you know what? I didn't listen to them. I was in the canteen classroom and it was easy, too easy. And then the regular classroom, and there was no in between in my high school. But that was okay. And then I went out to SGA, that Student Government Association, which was really fun. That was probably the best part of my day. But anyway, being a self-advocate means to me is you advocate for yourself and others around you. Don't ever stop believing on your dreams. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary. Now we will hear from the group from Partners in Policymaking, Nancy Anderson and Linda Russo. Oh, and Daryl. I'm sorry, Daryl. I'm sorry, Daryl. I thought you were going to be gone. Who wants to go first? Daryl goes first. Okay.
All right. On behalf of our Council on Development and Disability, Department of Mental Health, and our DD network, we are so excited to bring Partners in Policymaking back to the state of Alabama. You know, it was several years, I think it may have been 18 years or so when we didn't have Partners in Policymaking. So we really worked together as a network to bring this back to the state of Alabama. And it's been working miracles. And we're so excited about it. And really the whole idea of Partners really is to teach people, individuals, how to advocate for themselves, for their family members, and for those who can't advocate for themselves. And I think we have so many great advocates in our state who really make things happen, make laws change. And you heard some of the speakers earlier talking about how your voice is important. This is the whole idea. Teaching individuals how to communicate on the local level, state level, as well as the national level. So we're so excited. I think we're making some great changes, positive changes to make things happen in our state for the best. So I'm going to turn it over. I don't want to talk too much because I can, but I'm going to turn it over to my network partners.
Hi, everyone. I'm Linda Russo, and I represent the University Center on Excellence for Developmental Disabilities at UAB. And as Daryl said, we're part of the DD network, and we're so happy about Partners in Policymaking. This is our third class. It is going right now. We've got several partners alumni here. We've got some current members, and I encourage you to look out for the application for next year and join us. We have a great group. We're doing great things, we've passed several bills and hopefully another one this year. So thank you.
Hey, again, I'm Nancy Anderson, and I'm currently the acting director of the Alabama Disabilities Advocacy Program, your protection and advocacy agency in the state of Alabama, part of the DD network, including the USED and the council. I'm just going to go back to what I said earlier, and that is that the best advocate is a self-advocate, and that is what Partners is all about. So if you are interested in taking your current level of advocacy and ramping it up, look for the application that Linda spoke about and join us next year for what? The fourth class of 2025. All right. Thank you.
All right, next up, we're going to hear from Tim Cooper, the Executive Director of ARC of Alabama, about an upcoming event on April 17th that we hope you can all be part of.
Thank you, Corey, and welcome everyone this morning. It's good to see everyone here. I see friends from Walker County, Tuscaloosa, Calhoun, Southwest Alabama, Clark County, DeKalb County, Central Alabama. And if I left you out, I'm sorry, but welcome here. And it's great to see you here to share your voice, to make sure the legislatures hear that voice about your disability. Make sure it's included in legislation. What I'm here to talk to you about is April 17th, right here at the State House again. We're calling it Ability Day. Today, you're voicing your concern about your disability. On April 17th, you're going to show them your ability to be a part of the community and in this workforce development. Thank you. If you sell cupcakes, coffee, ice cream, if you work for an employer that hires you and you just work inside your art chapter and you have your own business, we want you here to show the legislatures, because their vote counts, you're able to work in the community. So we want you here April 17th, 10:30, right here in front of the State House. If you want to be a vendor and be a part of it, you can see me or Kim before you leave today. We'll hand you that flyer, or simply you can go to the Arc of Alabama or Alabama Care Facebook page and register. We love to see you here, and thank you for coming out today. Thank you.
All right, we are going to wrap up this part of the event. Now it's time to do the real work. Now it's time to stretch your self-advocacy muscles inside of the State House. If you don't have one of the one-pagers, you can pick those up. We also have clipped to the back of the one-pager a listing of the House members' office numbers and the senators' office numbers. If you're not familiar with who your representative is, you can see any of the folks that spoke this morning, and we can help you identify your representatives. As you make your way in, you will go through security, so they will need to check your bags. They'll need to go through a scanner, all of those different things. So be patient. We're a large group, but that's a good thing. The other part of this is we are providing lunches, box lunches. Those will be picked up. I'm going to point. It is literally right here in the corner of Washington and Union Street. There's a circle. There'll be a table there with lunches that you'll pick up. So you can either make your way out the door and down the sidewalk, or if you're already inside, this long hallway takes you out a door. However, that door does have steps. So for those who steps would be difficult, please come out and then make your way to pick up the lunches. Outside of that, we just appreciate everybody being here. I do also need to thank my committee members. This does not come together without the hard work of multiple agencies. I've always envisioned this as a multi-disability group. We don't represent just one group. We represent all Alabamians with disabilities. So I appreciate everybody on the committee. If you're here and you've been part of the committee for what has been 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 months that we've been Zooming together, would you raise your hand, please? I just want to say how much I appreciate you. This does, like I said, this doesn't come together without their hard work. We also want to thank the Arc of Alabama for the lunches that they provided, and Down Syndrome Alabama for printing of the one-pagers and providing those to you today. If anybody has any questions about how you can get involved with any of these groups, please see one of us, reach out, and we'll be happy to guide you. And we look forward to making changes in our state and removing the unnecessary barriers. Thank you for being here.